Hello, I'm Vanessa. And before my world turned upside down, before the betrayal ripped through my soul like glass, there was us. My sister, Clarissa, was more than just blood. She was my mirror, my secret keeper, my ride or die. We grew up sharing everything: dresses, laughter, tears, even dreams. I met Daniel in college, and Clarissa was the first person I introduced him to. She smiled that bright smile of hers and whispered, "He's perfect for you." And I believed her. I believed she meant it. The three of us, me, Daniel, and Clarissa, became inseparable. Every birthday, every holiday, every Sunday dinner, it was always the three of us. Daniel and I fell hard and fast. He wasn't just my boyfriend, he was my anchor, the calm to my chaos. We moved in together, got married under a veil of rain and roses, and I wore the dress Clarissa helped pick. She cried more than I did during the vows. Said she'd never seen love so pure. I trusted her with everything: my keys, my home, my heart. Sometimes, I'd catch her looking at Daniel a little too long, but I brushed it off. She's my sister, I told myself. She'd never crossed that line. Never. Looking back, the signs were there. The secret glances, the lingering hugs, the way Daniel's phone always seemed to light up with her name late at night. But I was blinded by love, loyalty, and the belief that family doesn't betray. Clarissa was my constant. We talked every day, shared our dreams of growing old side by side, raising our kids as best friends. I even asked her to be my maid of honor if I ever renewed my vows. That's how much I loved her. That's how deeply I was committed to a bond I thought was unbreakable. People say love is the strongest force in the world. But trust is sacred. And when it's given freely, you don't expect it to be weaponized. I trusted Clarissa with my life. She knew my insecurities, my fears, the cracks in my marriage, and she used that knowledge like a loaded gun she held behind her back while smiling in my face. But this part of the story isn't about the pain. Not yet. This is about the before. About the kind of love that makes betrayal possible. Because only someone you love that much, someone you let all the way in, can destroy you from the inside out. It started with whispers and spoken shifts, in energy that only the heart can detect. Daniel became distant, brushing off my questions with hollow smiles. Clarissa stopped coming around as much, and when she did, her eyes couldn't meet mine. One night, I woke to Daniel texting in the bathroom. He claimed it was work, but something inside me cracked. I waited until he slept, heart pounding, and opened his phone. There it was, texts from her, my sister. Messages that didn't belong between siblings. I read every word, each one slicing through me like a razor. Flirty jokes, late-night secrets, and worse plans. I confronted him first. My voice shook, my soul already shattered. He didn't deny it. Said he didn't mean to fall in love with her, as if that made it better. I screamed, cried, begged, not because I wanted him back, but because everything I believed in collapsed at once. I wasn't just losing a husband, I was losing my sister. The person I would have taken a bullet for had pierced me with it instead. He packed a bag the next day, said he needed time. I just stood there, numb, as he walked out of the life we built. Clarissa didn't answer my calls. Days later, she posted a photo, her and Daniel at a cozy dinner, wine glasses clinking, laughter frozen in pixels. No caption. Just a dagger disguised as a picture. My hands shook as I stared at it. Betrayal doesn't always scream, it sometimes smiles for the camera. Friends called, asking if it was real. I didn't answer. How could I? How do you explain that your sister, the person you trusted more than anyone, willingly took your husband, then flaunted it? The humiliation wasn't just private, it was public. Broadcast for everyone to witness. People avoided me. Some pitied me. Others whispered behind my back. But the worst part wasn't the silence, it was remembering every moment Clarissa and I had shared. I saw her everywhere, in photos, in old texts, in birthday cards I could no longer bear to read. She'd been weaving this betrayal for months, maybe years, under the disguise of sisterhood. The woman I called my best friend had been plotting my emotional death while hugging me. That's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't come from enemies, it comes from the ones who swore they'd never hurt you. And Clarissa, she didn't just betray me. She annihilated me. I stopped eating. Days blurred into nights, and I barely noticed the sun rising or falling anymore. The walls of our home, once filled with laughter and dreams, felt like a mausoleum, every corner echoing with ghosts of what used to be. I sat for hours on the couch, still wearing the same clothes from 3 days ago, staring at nothing. My Phone lit up with messages I didn't answer. My body was present, but I was gone, disconnected from reality. Every breath felt forced. Every beat of my heart, a cruel reminder that I was still alive. I wasn't living. I was simply enduring. Memories attacked me like waves, pulling me under when I least expected. The scent of his cologne on a pillow, her favorite mug still in my cabinet. My brain kept replaying the betrayal like a horror film on loop, each scene more gut-wrenching than the last. Sleep became a stranger, and when it did come, it brought nightmares. Sometimes, I woke up gasping, convinced I'd seen Clarissa laughing with Daniel in my living room. I even started questioning myself. Was I not enough? Did I miss the signs? That self-doubt became the cruelest poison. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was psychological ruin. I avoided mirrors. I couldn't look at the woman staring back, weak, hollow, unfamiliar. I began to despise her. Pity turned into rage, not just at them, but at myself for letting it all happen. I had given everything, my love, my loyalty, my trust, and they tore it apart like it meant nothing. People offered support, but it felt empty. They didn't understand the depth of what I lost. It wasn't just a marriage, it was a foundation, a sisterhood, my identity. Everything was in ashes, and in that collapse, something inside me broke so deeply, it could never go back to what it was. One morning, I woke up to silence, not the heavy, suffocating kind, but something different. It was clarity. The pain was still there, but dulled, like an old scar. I looked in the mirror and finally met my own eyes, tired. Yes, but not broken. Something had shifted. I realized I had given them too much power over me. They destroyed what I had, but they didn't get to define what I'd become. That's when it hit me. If they could tear me down, I could rebuild stronger, sharper, colder. Revenge wasn't just an idea anymore. It was a fire inside me, quiet, controlled, and it was just getting started. I began to reassemble my life piece by piece. Therapy helped me organize the chaos in my mind, while long solitary walks gave me space to think clearly. I started journaling, not about pain, but about plans. Every entry was a puzzle piece, figuring out what made them tick, what they valued, what they feared. I studied my sister's insecurities, traced Daniel's weaknesses, all while smiling to their faces from a distance. I needed them to think I was healing, harmless, out of the game. But beneath the surface, I was sharpening my edges. I wasn't coming back as the old me. She was gone. The new version of me was calculating, disciplined, patient. I stopped reacting emotionally and started acting strategically. I built connections, not for comfort, but for leverage. I took a job at a boutique PR firm. Clarissa always admired one that handled several brands she desperately wanted to work with. I reconnected with mutual friends and slowly shifted the narrative about what really happened. I didn't need to shout the truth, I let it trickle into the right ears. My goal wasn't just to hurt her. It was to unravel everything she loved, brick by brick, until she was left standing in the ruins just like I was. It started with the job offer Clarissa had dreamed about 4 years, only to find out I'd taken the role before she even had the chance to apply. I had the inside connections now, and she was left watching from the sidelines, confused and bitter. Every brand she used to chase now returned my emails, not hers. Then came Daniel. I didn't want him back. I wanted him to feel forgotten. I posted carefully curated moments with powerful, attractive people. I let him see my rise, feel the emptiness of being replaced. He messaged once, then twice. I left him on read. The silence echoed louder than any insult ever could. Clarissa's world began to shrink. I anonymously tipped off a client about her past manipulations, nothing illegal, just enough to make them reconsider working with her. I knew where she networked, who she trusted, and I made sure rumors slipped into the right ears. Slowly, her credibility cracked. The opportunities dried up. She tried to reach out to me once, feigning concern, masking desperation. I met her, with a smile that said nothing and everything. She didn't know who I'd become. I didn't need to scream revenge. I just had to move the pieces and let the collapse unfold. Then came the final blow. A charity gala, her last big appearance. I exposed a hidden scandal she thought was buried. The forged donation receipts from years ago, now resurfacing at the worst possible time. Whispers turned into headlines. Her public image, once flawless, was in ruins. Sponsors pulled out. Influential contacts disappeared. She called me in tears, but I didn't answer. I stood at the edge of it all, watching the empire she built with lies come crashing down. I didn't feel joy. I felt justice. Cold, clean justice. And in that moment, I finally exhaled. Not because she lost, but because I won. The dust settled, but the silence was louder than before. Clarissa vanished from the circles we used to frequent. Her name wasn't on invitations anymore. Her posts turned sporadic, desperate, hollow. I heard she moved out of the city whispers, said she needed space. I didn't celebrate. I just sat in the quiet, thinking about how everything had changed. I wasn't the girl crying on cold bathroom tiles anymore. I had rebuilt myself, with steel, not sorrow. But in the stillness, a question always lingered: did I become her in order to beat her? Was revenge worth the pieces of myself I had to sacrifice to deliver it? Daniel. He faded like a bad dream. He tried dating someone else, but friends told me he kept comparing her to me. I never reached out. I had already buried the version of me who needed his validation. He had chosen betrayal, and in doing so, he freed me from the illusion that love had to hurt to be real. I started living with purpose, not in spite of what happened, but because of it. My strength wasn't in my revenge. It was in my survival, in my ability to walk through fire and come out made of it. Strangers call me powerful now. They see confidence in my posture, command in my voice, but they don't see the nights I stared at the ceiling, wondering if justice had made me cold. They don't see how some songs still sting, or how certain places hold ghosts. But that's the thing about betrayal: it doesn't just break you, it remakes you. I didn't ask for this path, but I chose to own it. I didn't destroy Clarissa because I hated her. I did it because I refused to let her win after stealing everything I once called mine. Sometimes I pass a mirror and barely recognize the woman staring back. Not because she looks unfamiliar, but because she looks unshakable. That's the real aftermath, not the fall of your enemy, but the rise of yourself. Clarissa was a chapter, not the whole book. Daniel was a sentence I've already rewritten. Now, I write my story in bold strokes, unapologetic, unstoppable. I don't tell this tale to boast. I tell it so others know you can be broken, humiliated, stripped of everything and still rise. Not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to become. And that is the greatest revenge of all.